everyone. I'm here with a Bible study. I hope you guys are having a good night. We didn't get the bad storms like they were saying last night, which is good. But it did rain all night. And it's supposed to storm today, but it's just windy and it hasn't started yet. But I think it probably will later on because the sky is really dark. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I marked the wrong day. That's okay. Okay, so we are going to be reading a devotion today by Grace Fox. And the Bible verse she picked out to go with her devotion is Matthew 7, verse 24. You know I love reading in the Gospels, which is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew 7:24. Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on a rock. That, of course, was Jesus speaking those words. Okay, so I'm going to stop that right there, and then I'm going to go to Matthew 7 and read all of it, and then we'll come back. Okay, let me see how long it is, so you guys will know. It's not too long. We're talking about judging others, ask, seek, and knock, the narrow and the wide gates, a tree and its fruit, you know, these are all really good, and the wise and the foolish builders. Alright, so let's get started. Now, this is Jesus speaking. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Let me take the speck out of your... How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all you have is a plank in your own eye? Plank is much bigger than sawdust. You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Saying, like, don't judge your brother, because you yourself have worse than what he does, even. Or you can't even judge your brother if you're doing the same bad thing, or a bad thing as well, because no sin is greater than another. It is all sin. So you can't say, oh, my brother sins and does this or that, but I only sinned and done this little thing. Doesn't matter. Sin is sin. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet, and then turn and tear you to pieces. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds, and to him who knocks the door will be opened. Which of you, if his son asks for bread, would give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, would give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or twigs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. Now, Jesus isn't really literally talking about trees. He's talking about people. You'll be known by your fruit. You won't be known about what you say, because anybody can say they're going to do anything, and they may not. But your fruits are your works, the things that you do to others. That's what you'll be known by. A good person who does good things cannot produce bad fruit, or they'd be a hypocrite. And bad people cannot produce good fruit, or it's the same thing. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and perform many miracles? Then I would tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. You have to be saved through Jesus to go to heaven. Dry mouth, sorry. This is the last little paragraph. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority and not as their teachers of the law, who told them to do things, all these crazy laws, but they did not do them themselves. They just want people to look up to them. Can I start over?
No.
Alright, so that is Matthew 7. And I kept messing up. I've been
Fine.
really bad today. Messing up and stuff. Last couple of days, I'm sorry. It's so embarrassing. Okay, so let's read Grace Fox's devotion. She says, one of my previous homes was a double-wide mobile. It sat on concrete blocks that were a bit of an eyesore, so we installed metal skirting around its base and hid them from view. That's what most people do. Single whites as well. We did always. One afternoon, I felt our house sway. At first, I thought my imagination was messing with my mind, but then I saw the dining room fixture swing from side to side. That's when I suspected an earthquake. A radio report confirmed it. Thankfully, the tremor was mild and left our home standing. Thank God. I have no doubt that a stronger quake could have toppled it. No matter how we tried to hide or disguise the concrete blocks, the truth remained. They could never provide the stability with a proper foundation that a proper foundation offered. Our culture encourages me to build my life on money and material possessions. I recently watched a TV ad in which a man said, "My big closet makes me so happy." His comment made me so sad. The size of a closet is a pretty shaky foundation on which to base one's happiness. Remember, the thing that you love the most in this world is the thing that's most important to you. Culture also nudges me to build my life on my career. But what happens when an economic earthquake hits and devastates the working force? I might instead build my life on my family. But tragedy or bad decisions could leave me in a heap of emotional rubble. There's only one foundation that stands firm forever. And what do you think that is? Jesus and his teachings. Building my life on him keeps me secure when everything around me shakes and shifts. Amen. Okay, and your homework from Grace tonight is read Matthew 7:24, which we just read up there, but it wants you to read Matthew 7:24 through 27, which you don't even have to do if you don't want, because we just read the all of chapter of Matthew 7. Ask Jesus to show you if you have built a foundation on anything other than him. And it's very simple to know. Whatever you love most in this world, it says in the Bible, whatever you love most in the world is what you worship, which should be God. God should be first. But other people worship money, their careers, all kinds of different things. Stuff that you will not take with you when you die. But your soul will be taken. And you should put God first. Because you want God to have your soul. Get saved through Jesus and put God first. Because you're taking your soul with you, but nothing else. Nothing else. That stuff will stay here for nobody or for somebody else to have. Okay, so now I'm going to go read 2 short stories, because I forgot to read one at the beginning. So we'll do 2 short ones, and then I will do our animal devotion. So everybody start thinking of your animal. It's just one animal today, I believe, so. Sure, what do you pick?
Squirrel.
Alright, Sherman picks a squirrel. Alright, this is the 2 short stories first. This first one is called Good Guard Dog by Pat Rogers, Bridgeton, Missouri. "Shoo, Ginger, shoo!" I waved my hand. "Go back home." The golden lab wagged her tail and barked. She didn't budge. Ginger belonged to my neighbor Janet, who was one of the busiest people I knew. Yoga, art classes, trips out of town. It had been days since I'd seen her. I looked hard at Ginger. "Does Janet even know you snuck out?" I said. Come on, girl. Let's go check on your mommy." The front door to Janet's condo was open when I arrived. "Janet," I called, "are you all right?" You know, her dog knew something wasn't all right. That's why she went to find help. Or he. I think it was her. Yeah. Let's see. "I am here," a faint voice answered. Janet was lying on the couch, looking pale and sweaty. Ugh, sounds like her heart. I could see she was in real trouble. It just got weaker and weaker, she whispered. "I just got weaker and weaker." I called 911. It's a good thing you found her, the EMT on the scene said. She's dangerously dehydrated. When Janet recovered, she explained that she tried to leave the house, but had been so dizzy she stumbled back to the couch, too foggy-headed to remember to shut the front door. That's how a four-legged angel flew out and got help. You guys won't believe this, but I've seen stories like this on TV, true stories, that they do this all the time. I've seen dogs do that and save people. I've seen a cat do it, and I've seen a pig. This was a house pig, like a pot-bellied pig, but it was probably about like this big. And its owner, I think, had a heart attack, and that pig went out that door and would, when a car was driving by, it would go right out in the middle of the road and lay down like it was dead in front of that car to stop it. And if the car went around and went on by, she kept doing the same thing till she finally got somebody who's like, this ain't normal. I'm going to follow this pig. You know, maybe she's saying she needs help. And they followed her back to the house and got her owner out, who had a heart attack. And she got in the hospital and got well and got to come back home. And that was a pig. And pigs are very smart. They really are. Animals, if you see an animal doing that, they know. They know. They have souls. They just can't speak human like us. But they speak in their own language. If you see an animal acting funny like that, please follow that animal. And just like they say with, and they don't just have to be therapy pets. They can be any. None of the ones I've seen were a therapy pet that did that. But they also say if you see a therapy dog by itself, follow it. Because they're trained to do that in case something happens to their owner. So remember, you heard it here. If any animal, therapy pet, wearing a vest, or animal period, any animal, if they're acting weird like that, follow them. Okay, so now the next one is by Carolyn Malik from Michigan City, Indiana. It is called Spring's First Grosbeak. Dad and I used to play a game this time of year. Who would be the first to see a rose-breasted grosbeak? Grosbeaks migrate every fall and return to our neck of the woods at the beginning of spring. I have never heard of those. Have you? I gotta look them up. Dad and I loved the birds. Pretty plumage, black and white feathers with a dramatic red spot covering most of the male's chest. Oh, I've seen them. A special song that came from the bird's heavy bill was hard to miss. Aren't they the ones like on tall legs? Sherm's asleep, he don't know. Whenever Dad saw one, he'd call me up. Saw a grosbeak just now, sweetie. Have you seen one today? As I passed by a window in the living room, I noticed the sun was shining. Spring was coming any day now, but it was the morning of Dad's funeral. The day I'd been dreading ever since his terminal bone cancer diagnosis a few years earlier. There'd be no joy for me in this day, and it had barely begun. My eyes fell on the bird feeder outside. I wonder when I'll see. Before I finished the thought, a rose-breasted grosbeak landed on the feeder. Apparently they're not the big tall ones like I thought, or they would break the feeder. There would be joy for me even in this day. Dad made sure of it. He sent her that bird to let her know he was okay. Now, isn't that nice? It's very nice. Okay, those are our two short stories for today. Both really good. Okay, and now let's do our animal devotion. Sherm, what'd you pick? A squirrel? Alright, Sherm picked a squirrel. You guys got your animal? I'm pretty sure it's just one animal today, unless I missed a spot here. Okay, this one is by Kathy Elliott, and the Bible verse for this devotion is Job 12, verse 7. And if you're having a very bad time in your life, I recommend you reading the book of Job, especially if you think God has abandoned you. Read the book of Job if you want to look for, something to touch your heart that's true in the Bible. Go to the book of Job. J-O-B, like Job, but it's Job. Okay, and Job 12:7 says, "But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds in the sky, and they will tell you." You're not there. Animals are smarter than what you think. Start spreading the news. My friend offered me a puppy to hold because he was a Yorkie. I thought of the song New York, New York, then of Frank Sinatra, who made it famous. So I named him Frankie. Just for the evening, I probably could have taken him home with me. He was the last puppy of the litter, but I knew it wasn't a good time. My attention needed to be directed toward my daughter, to love her through the loss of her older brother. Hey, that dog might just cheer her up though. Frankie was a darling, with curly black fur and a little brown mask on his face, and matching soft feet. A roly-poly, wiggly and tail wagging, he settled in and fell asleep in my arms. As my friend and I talked about what was on our hearts, thoughts of my 11-year-old son gone to heaven too soon squeezed my heart. Soon the tears fell. Maybe it was the movement of my hand as I wiped away a torrent of tears that woke Frankie. Or maybe it was God whispering a call to comfort in this wee floppy ear. But he stood balancing on my arm with unsteady paws and nuzzled my neck. Then he licked away my tears one by one. Such a big heart in such a small creature. Somehow, I felt he understood my sadness and longed to console me. Many years have passed, yet I still remember Frankie and his puppy. Oh, she didn't keep it? I still remember Frankie and his puppy's kindness. Like an angel unaware, he was hard to leave behind. Now I wonder if it might have been the perfect time to take home a puppy to help heal our hearts. Frankie knew how to comfort me without saying a word. They didn't take him home. When grief is deepest, words are fewest and cost them. But I know how that is too. Why they didn't keep him and stuff. There's Frankie, Cheryl. Hey, Frankie. This is supposed to be a Yorkie. I didn't have no brown on me, so. There's little Frankie. My rendition. Alright, guys. So I will stop there with our Bible study tonight. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Let's bring those souls to Jesus, and God willing, we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another Bible study. Bye, guys. God bless. And I hope you all have a happy Mother's Day tomorrow. I love you guys. Bye.